This is the S&P 500 one-day reading for October 9th, 2023. It's currently September 6th, 2023, 10:07 p.m. Eastern Time. The S&P 500 at the time of this reading, 4,465.48. And the shuffle file we're about to play was created on July 28th, 2023 at 1:39 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video right here. So the overall theme and behavior for the day, we have out of a decline, a big move from the bottom of the range all the way to the top of the range. Behavior around the highest high, we have a pop and drop. Behavior around the lowest low. It's a nullified card, meaning that it has no correlations to any of the cards on the timeline. Therefore, it's a little more difficult to read. But the virtue card is generally crossed through a price level to the upside, and then back down through it, and then back up through it again. So generally, you see a low when it's in the low position. You see a low twice, but it is nullified, so it's hard to rely upon. I'm advised to trade around the successful transition from turning a resistance, a notable resistance, into support. Advised to trade around that, and my sense is that we probably have. Well, there's a key resistance highlighted here around 11 o'clock, and then the Ace of Swords also indicates key resistance. All right, so in the pre-market, we have a notable move to the upside. It's likely that we opened higher in the pre-market, or we pushed to the upside in the pre-market. There's a significant low in the first half hour and a decline around the open that offers opportunity to open up a long position in anticipation of a really big move to the upside, reaching for distant resistance, and the move takes place there between 10 and 11 o'clock, with the resistance being met closer to 11 o'clock. There's a peak that we sell off from there pretty notably, creating like a move to the upside, and then a full retracement of that move back down, and then more rally, a sideways fluctuating rally that precedes a decline. Sideways fluctuating rally into a high, probably, a high somewhere around 12 to 2 o'clock. There's a lot of price change covered here around that 1 to 2 o'clock hour, and then we have this sideways rotation along key support. So likely what we do is we turn this resistance here, or this resistance here, into support, and we rotate sideways along that support. But this, remember, the Queen of Discs has a sharp drop in it, so it's a period of sideways rotation along key support, and a sharp drop that stands out in that period of sideways rotation. In the last hour, we should have a failed attempt to break through key resistance and a decline through key support, and then a big move to the upside right around the close, offering an opportunity to open up a short position if you haven't done so already. There's a few different ways you could play this. You could try and catch this decline in the first half hour, or right around the open, before this big move higher, opening up a long position. If you see this big move, so there's a big move in the pre-market, then a decline, then another big move reaching for a distant resistance. If you see that second move for distant resistance, you waited too long, don't open up the long position. But if you open up the long position before that, and then you see this big move reaching for distant resistance, what I mean by distant is that it won't be the next resistance. It'll be at least one more. Usually it's more than that. And we're talking about like notable resistances, not like just like these medium, kind of like vague ones. In any case, there's an opportunity to close out of a long position there when we meet that key resistance around the 11 o'clock hour. And then you could, it's a little tricky. There's possibly a short in there too, but I wouldn't do it. It's a little too tricky. There is an opportunity at the close. Okay, that's it. So you could either open up a short position here at resistance, this key resistance that we have like around 12 o'clock, or wait until the end of the day when we have this big move to the upside, reaching for distant resistance. It may not be a higher price level than we have midday, though. There might be some decline here at the end of the day. Probably a little decline here at the end of the day before we see that big move right at the close. In either case, I want to be in a short position going into overnight, where we have another sharp drop in the morning, and we likely open lower, it looks like. Interesting. And so the sneak preview is open lower and a halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support. And that's the S&P 500 for October 9th, 2023. Make sure to follow that rule of karma, my friends. You do so here on the resources tab. 5% of the profits forward to one of these charities, 5% of the profits back to the channel, 90% left over. Spend it out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you're an angel investor of the channel. The universe is going to send it back to you tenfold through this channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.